There we go.
Okay, sorry about that, computer difficulties. So again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining. We appreciate your time and your interest in the NDT RAM product. My name is Kevin Rogers, and I work in the NDT group with Gail Stoltz and Greg Sand. And today we'll be discussing the NDT RAM software updates and also a review of our parts test program. And feel free to ask questions at any time, and we will go ahead and start with the NDT RAM software updates. Our current version of software is 7.0. Some of you may have older versions, some of you may have the latest version, but this presentation will give you an overview of a couple of the updates we've added. Several of the features that we've added are the increased resolution. We've doubled the block size. This allows for greater resolution and will help when testing parts that are a little more difficult. And it should aid in setting up the criteria when comparing bad and good parts. We've also added a panning feature that allows you to pan from left to right or right to left in the spectrum when you're zoomed in. And you can do that by holding the shift and control buttons while clicking the left mouse button and then pan left to right. We also have an auto learn feature that will help set up the criteria, and I'll explain how that works in a few minutes. The color changing, you can now color change a block of good or bad parts at the same time, and you don't have to do it individually. This speeds up setting up the criteria and makes things a little easier to see. And we also allow user-defined data to be entered for each part test. This data can be part number or weight or anything that the customer would like, and I'll show you how to do that. The increased resolution can be found under the Analyzer Setup. So you go to Analyzer Setup and then click on the Acquisition tab, and you can see that we've now doubled the resolution from 16384 to 32768. You will see this will aid especially in the higher frequency ranges, and should allow for easier setup. Especially on your smaller parts, it will aid because sometimes the dampening is too great on the smaller parts, and therefore you need a little more resolution. The user-defined data can be added during the testing. If you go under, here's a screenshot right here of how you get to it. You go to Setup and then User Data, and what that will bring up, it will bring up this menu, and there are 8 lines that you can add, and you can give each one a label, and you can put some sort of data in there. It could be weight, it could be part number, it could be serial number. As you can see, I've just added a part number in there, but I can fill in 8 different lines of data, and every time you impact a part, that is stored in the file with the data, and it can be accessed and downloaded later. The auto learn feature, it is a new tab, or it's a new choice on the control bar. This feature will set the green boxes so that all the bad parts will fail and as many as possible of the good parts will pass. Unfortunately, it will not add the criteria for you because the software cannot differentiate between a good set of peaks and a bad set of peaks. So you still must place the criteria where you feel is a good area and the best choice. So when you hit the auto learn and pick boxes, it will fail all the bad parts and pick the widest 2 good parts and set those as the 2 corners. Unfortunately, it does not allow for any process variation at that point, so you must use your best judgment when setting them up. The software now allows you to change the colors as a group. So in this case, we are choosing to change all of the good parts here to one color. So you can change all of the good, the bad, or the unknown to one single color, and that helps differentiate the good from the bad. So to change an entire group, make one of the lines active. In this case, I have the first one active. You click on the color button twice, and you can see it brings up a palette of colors, and you can choose whatever you'd like. We are adding training videos to our NDT website for training on using the software, and we will be updating those over the next 2 months. So in the future, if you would go to ndt-ram.com, you will be able to find these training videos that you can use yourselves and use with your customers for training on the NDT RAM software. Okay, this is a review of our parts testing procedure and parts testing program. We'll just do a quick overview of how we run the parts test in-house, and I'll go over some of the spreadsheets and part test reports that we use, and we'll be sharing those with you. Our free part test system works, or how it works is we've established contact with the potential customer, and once we have a good dialogue with them, we find out more information about the parts that they would like to test and what their expectations are. We find out what kind of defects they're looking for, the material, the approximate weight of the part, and we ask that the customer have at least 12 good parts and several of each defect type. And this is important because the more parts we can get, the better the confidence in the data. When we have them sent to the modal shop, we ask that if you're sending parts to us or a customer is sending parts to us, please call or email for an RMA number before shipment. We have quite a few parts coming in and out, and it makes it easier for us to track. And down the road, when we archive the reports and the data, it makes it easier for us to find it. So after we do the parts test, we create a report, and we schedule a web meeting with the customer, and we invite the salespeople to join the meeting if they're free. And during the web meeting, the results are shown and discussed, and if we have positive test results, we ask the customer what next steps they would like to take with us. We have 2 reports that we use. One is a spreadsheet template, and is an Excel-based spreadsheet. And what that allows us to do is to create the graphs and the pass-fail chart automatically with the data that is extracted from the NDT RAM software. So the spreadsheet allows for the text file, the TXT file, that from the NDT RAM software to be imported directly. And to do that, you go to report, create report from investigation, and you give it a file name. The TXT file can be opened by Microsoft Excel and pasted into the template. There are instructions on the template on where to paste them and what adjustments you need to make for the amount of parts that you have, and we will be sending these templates out later. Once you paste the data into the spreadsheet, the graphs and the pass-fail charts are generated automatically. We have the spreadsheet template can take up to 10 criteria, which should cover almost all of your parts tests. Very, very rarely do we have anyone use 10 criteria on a parts test. Typically it's between 4 and 8. So once you paste that data in there, you can see that it generates the graphs and the pass-fail chart. Then we use this information in our parts test report. The part test report is a standard format we use here at the modal shop, and we share this report with the customer and the salespeople during the meeting. The template for the report has all of the highlighted, or has all of the areas that we need to change for each customer, each test, highlighted in yellow, so you're not changing everything on every test. You're not starting fresh or with a blank sheet of paper, so it speeds up the process. At the end of the report is a summary that includes the number of parts that passed and failed, and we are usually given known good parts and known defective parts. In this case, we were given 10 known good parts and 22 known defective parts, and all of the good ones passed and all of the defective ones failed. At the end of this section, there are 3 response choices based on the results, and you just choose the appropriate one. So we have one for a good response where the test was successful. We have an unclear one where the test data was unclear if we could sort for the desired defect, but we would like another chance, or maybe we need some more parts. And then we have a result, a bad result, that says that this test is probably not going to be appropriate for these parts. So what we do is we select the good one, we select the proper one, and then delete the other 2 when we send the report out. Like I stated before, the parts test spreadsheet will allow data for up to 10 criteria to be used. It can be expanded for more, but typically the software is not used for more than 10 criteria. And we will be emailing you the report and the spreadsheet templates after this presentation. We find that they're very helpful, and when you do a parts test, we ask that you please copy us on the report and the spreadsheet and email it to us so that we can keep track of what has been tested, the customers that the testing is for, and what the results for. We think it will help us over the long term, keeping track of what parts are successful and what parts are not. And again, we will be posting videos in the near future on our website, ndt-ram.com. Or if you have questions or anything specific about the part testing or the part testing reports, you can email me at krogers@moonshop.com anytime, and I'll be happy to answer your questions.